The 12-episode No Game No Life anime covered the first 3 light novels of the series, allotting 4 episodes to each of them. And thus, with light novel 3 being a little bit larger than the previous 2 light novels, some things had to be cut from the last 4 episodes of the anime to get everything flowing smoother. With the same amount of runtime, they can only cover so much material. And thus, some of the content from the 3rd light novel was cut for runtime. And one of those things that was cut was actually an entire game that took place after Love or Loved 2. Immediately after the game ended, Sora challenged Izuna to a game 1v1. It was a very quick game, but is one that is very impactful for the story that is trying to be told at that point in the light novels. In particular, for Izuna. After the events of Love or Loved 2 had wrapped up, Izuna was distraught. Elkia had just won over the Werebeasts, and in doing so had won everything that the Eastern Federation possessed on the continent. In Izuna's mind, she had failed. She was bawling, she was crying, she was under so much pressure during this game. The entirety of the Eastern Federation was relying on Izuna to win that game, to defend the Eastern Federation from anyone on the outside who would attack them, any of the other Exceed. And now that Izuna had lost, she felt an immense guilt over that loss. But Sora realized that it wasn't entirely due to the fact of the pressure that had been put on her. He pointed out that it's actually because you had fun during the game, right? Which Izuna can't really bring herself to understand, because she's never had fun in games before. Which, to Sora and Shiro, that is what games are supposed to be. They are supposed to be fun, but Izuna had always seen them as work. But given that she was in a game against opponents that were starting to overwhelm her, the fact that these two Immanity were coming out with so many different strategies and ways to get around what she had always thought was her overwhelming advantage, she was starting to have fun. She smiled during the game, and she questions herself why she smiled. If she had only not smiled, could she have won? She was bawling, she was crying, she was questioning herself, and all Sora had to say in response to that was, no matter what you had done, we would have won anyways. The dialogue in the anime is pretty accurate to the light novel, except cutting out some of the middle bit after this phrase. The fact that Sora had said, no matter what you had done, you would have lost anyways. The light novel also expands on the other characters' thoughts around Sora saying this, which, none of them thought too kindly of that. Really? This is all he can offer to this crying girl? Is that, you would have just lost anyways? Yeah, Sora, the king of comforting, for sure. But Sora continues, saying, you seem to misunderstand. No one's going to die. So, how about this then? Izuna, let's you and I play a game. One-on-one, using our real physical abilities, let's duel. A simple quick draw contest. Both Sora and Izuna hop back into the game using their real-world physical abilities. They are just going to fire at each other. Realistically, as every onlooker thought, there is no shot that Sora could win. Sure, in Love or Loved 2, he was able to use strategies and tricks to overcome Izuna, the scarlet demon that she is, being able to use Blood Break and surpass the physical limits that are possible across Disboard. There were 4 of them against Izuna at that time. They had Jabril, the Flugel, as well as Shiro's demonic abilities of calculation, and the unsuspecting Steph. Using all of their strategies together, they were able to overcome Izuna. But now, 1v1, Sora, a simple Immanity, versus a Werebeast that can Blood Break? Even given everything that Immanity had just seen, they knew that there was no chance Sora could win. And what were the stakes of this game? Well, that is where the most important aspect of the game comes in. If Sora wins, he would tell Izuna why no one would die. If Izuna wins, Sora proposed, let's be friends, okay? So really, the stakes of the game are non-consequential. The results of this game won't have an effect on Immanity or Werebeasts in any larger capacity. But, based on those stakes, it is set up so that it is most beneficial for Izuna to lose. At this point, she sees Sora as someone who just destroyed Werebeast, who is out to wipe them out. But she wants to know why no one would die. Why does he say that? And if she learns that reason and is satisfied with it, then she's then under no obligation to be friends with that bastard. So, it is much more favorable for Izuna to lose. Sora starts off the game by flipping a coin, and when the coin hits the ground, that is when they draw. And so Sora does so. He flips the coin, it hits the ground. Izuna does not raise her weapon, instead lowers her eyes to the ground, conceding the fight. Sora raises his weapon up and remarks, "Yeah, I guess you would make that choice." And as he starts to pull the trigger, he continues, "But, can I tell you something honestly? I'm disappointed in you, Izuna," as he pulls the trigger and fires. That phrase, though, that oh-so-typical trolling that Sora does, well, that got under Izuna's skin. So she immediately says, "Don't screw with me," and raises her head, eyes stained scarlet, and fires in quick succession 2 bullets. The first of which meeting Sora's bullet almost at the middle between the two. Meaning that Izuna, with her blood break, was able to raise her weapon and fire within like a fraction of a second to have her bullet collide with Sora's and ricochet them off of each other in practically the middle of the two. But Izuna had fired 2 shots, and that second shot was barreling right towards Sora's head. And as if, no, in fact, he must have predicted exactly what she would do, he tilted his head out of the way as the bullet simply glided past his head and completely missed. Sora had predicted exactly what Izuna would do. He had reacted before she had even fired, and in her blood break state, she saw Sora tilt his head out of the way and then noticed, right in front of her chest, another bullet that was about to hit her. In the fraction of a second where Izuna was able to fire in her blood break, Sora had launched another bullet as well, fired squarely at Izuna. She noticed it only with enough time to see it, not enough time to react even in her blood break state. And as that bullet collided with her, the game was over. It was a bit of an unbelievable outcome for everyone watching. Ino, Steph, Jabril. Shiro, of course, understood, but everyone else watching had no clue how Sora was able to predict all of this. He knew that Izuna was the type of person to go straight for the headshot. He knew if that he egged her on, she would join in the game, even though at that moment when she fired, she was questioning herself. Why? Why am I doing this? All I have to do is lose. But that's the real her. And that's what Sora tells her after the game. That's the real you. You don't want to lose. The deeper reason why you were wailing, why you were crying, is because you were sad over losing for the first time. You fail as a gamer if you aren't, but that is what makes it so fun. How does it feel knowing that there is an opponent out there you can test all of your skills and strength against and still not be able to beat? Makes you feel pretty sky high, right? And that is very important. Just the fact that this game exists. It's a very simple game. It's 1v1, an Immanity versus a Werebeast that can blood break. By all rights, Sora should not win this game, even if it's repeated 1,000 times. But he does so because he is able to read people way better than anyone seems to be able to on Discord. And then, after the game is over, he tells Izuna the reason why no one will die. And when she says, "Next time I'm not going to lose," that is when he welcomes Izuna to their side, because she's a gamer now. It just makes for a much better sequence of events than what was depicted in the anime, because there were so many tricks, so many ploys, so much planning that went into Lover Loved 2 for 4 of them, Shiro, Sora, Steph, and Jabril, to be able to overcome Izuna, that in the anime, when Sora says to Izuna that we're opponents that you can never overcome, she really doesn't have a reason to believe that at that point. But with that Quickdraw contest, where it was 1v1, no tricks, no nothing. Sora did fight his enemy head on, which in the anime is something that, you know, he heavily says that the weak don't do that. We let the strong fight each other head on and the weak have their own way of fighting. No, he did take the head-on fight this time, and he won handily. And that drives home the point to Izuna that you couldn't have won. Regardless of what you did in Lover Loved 2, you would not have won. Which, again, brings me back to why I kind of dislike the ending of Lover Loved 2. After Izuna went into her blood break, she chases Sora and Shiro around for a while because she's having fun. And had she just not done that and went for the kill shot right away after going into her blood break, Sora blocks those bullets with his shoes. If she just shot again and took them both out before they hit the ground, the game would have been over. But in the light novel, that is what happened. Izuna did fire the bullets, took Sora and Shiro out before they hit the ground, and then Steph, on the back of the NPC, was set to fire at the bottom of that building, which took Izuna out. There was no gap for her to lose due to having fun. The fact that she had fun was negligible. And now that Sora has proven that he would win anyways, that there was no shot for Izuna to win, that gives her the freedom to have fun in games. Because, well, why wouldn't you? Rather than just seeing it as work, you may as well have fun with it if you're going to lose anyways. But, granted, Izuna doesn't want to lose. Gamers don't want to lose. Having fun in spite of losing is, you know, what a respectable gamer should do, but the desire to win is what makes her a true gamer. She doesn't want to lose, and she wants to defeat Sora and Shiro, even though, you know, it's going to be a hell of an obstacle to overcome. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of the 1v1 quick draw between Sora and Shiro? It's a very quick game, all in all, not really consequential in the overall story of No Game No Life, but is very important for the character of Izuna, teaching her that it is okay to have fun in games, and especially in that game with such high stakes, it was okay that she had fun because she would have lost anyways. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. And if you enjoy this video, want to see more No Game No Life content like it, make sure to subscribe and join the Daily Flugel. If you want to see some games played live, I also stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I look forward to seeing you over there as well. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ashente.